country's oldest Latino civil rights group came out against it, yet AOC keeps defending it, saying gender is fluid, language is fluid. Yes, and Latino voters are fluid. And then there's abortion, a difficult issue for the Democrats to lose on, but they're trying. For decades, liberals have said if only men could get pregnant, this wouldn't even be an issue. And abortion rights are women's rights. Well, that's wrong now. Or as the kids say, hold up.
It's been nearly a year since Bill Maher officially declared open season on what he calls the woke circus, and he's still coming in hot, no breaks, no apologies. His latest target, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, better known as AOC, the progressive poster child who's been zigzagging across the country like a GPS on the fritz, peddling the same woke talking points that have left half the country rolling their eyes into next week.
A new poll reporting how much Latinos despise the woke term Latinx. It's about as popular with them as a reboot of Speedy Gonzales. Even the country's oldest Latino civil rights group came out against it, yet AOC keeps defending it, saying gender is fluid, language is fluid. Yes, and Latino voters are fluid.
But Maher, he's done playing nice. This time, he showed up armed and unfiltered. Cue the applause or the outrage, because we're diving into the firestorm. It all kicked off when Maher, in that signature blend of sarcasm and clarity, turned the spotlight directly onto AOC's endless push for her far-left dreamscape. No fluff, no filters. Just a bold call-out that echoed what plenty of Americans have been whispering behind closed doors. Is anyone still buying this anymore? From climate alarmism to utopian economics, Maher made it clear he's not drinking the ideological Kool-Aid. And here's the kicker. He's not the only one. More and more everyday voters are seeing the slogans for what they are: political performance dressed up as progress. Maher didn't just critique the message. He set the whole script on fire with his trademark mix of blunt humor and pointed truth.
Abortion, a difficult issue for the Democrats to lose on, but they're trying. For decades, liberals have said if only men could get pregnant, this wouldn't even be an issue. And abortion rights are women's rights. Well, that's wrong now. Or as the kids say, hold up. When the wokey end of the progressive spectrum talks about abortion now, they shy away from that word, women, and prefer terms like birthing people or people who menstruate, because somewhere there's a trans man who's pregnant, and I say good for him, and I'll be looking for his story somewhere in a future issue of Ripley's Believe It or Not.
And AOC, let's just say she may have finally met her rhetorical match. Maher didn't tiptoe. He hit the big question head on, the one echoing from kitchen tables to coffee shops. Why keep pushing a worldview that so many now see as divisive, elitist, and utterly detached from reality? Most people, faced with that kind of national feedback, might pause, reflect, maybe recalibrate. But not AOC. She's marching forward like she's got divine instructions, preaching her hyper-progressive gospel and force-serving her Latinx vision of America to an audience that's starting to check out. But here's where it got intense. Maher wasn't just venting. What came next wasn't just another jab, it was a strategic takedown. A truth grenade, the kind that doesn't leave room for rebuttals or TikTok spin cycles. Brace yourself, this part got ruthless.
More of them now than ever are identifying as Republican. So are Asian Americans, whose support for Democrats is down 16 points since the last election. A lot of that is because, in the name of achieving equity in schools, Democrats in deep blue cities have made it a mission to eliminate the advanced programs at which Asian kids excel. Asian parents said, okay, I wish all kids well, not a racist, but I need someone who acts like my lawyer.
Maher laser focused on one of the more bizarre battlegrounds modern progressives have chosen to die on: the inability or refusal to define what a woman is. Something that, not long ago, was simple and clear. A woman, someone who menstruates, can get pregnant, gives birth. Basic biology, not politics. But then came the woke remix. Suddenly, gender became a fluid buffet. Say you're a woman, boom you are. And if you dared question that logic, you weren't just disagreeing, you were a bigot. Game over. No debate, no nuance, just online dogpiling, condescending think pieces, and Twitter threads full of smug disdain. But while coastal elites were clapping each other on the back for being inclusive, something shifted in middle America. People didn't shout back, they just tuned out. No drama, no viral hashtags, just a quiet, growing rejection of the madness.
5% Latino congressional district on the border with Mexico, which had always voted heavily Democratic, flipped to the red team. And the campaign manager for the losing Democrat said, "We gave up a reliably Democratic congressional seat for no reason at all. We deserve to know why." Well, aside from your terrible attitude, I'm going to tell you why. Because these voters stopped seeing your candidate as their lawyer.
Because eventually, when common sense gets shoved aside, people stop playing along. And what followed was a political faceplant, a serious one. One of the biggest electoral gut punches the Democratic Party's taken in recent memory. And here's the thing. Voters didn't flip because they suddenly turned cruel or radical. They walked away because they were tired of being told their everyday reality was problematic. It wasn't hate that drove the shift, it was exhaustion. Voters were done being gaslight. The Democrats didn't just lose votes, they lost trust. And rebuilding that, that's a whole different beast. Because when you corner regular people long enough, they don't stay quiet forever. They respond not with hashtags, but with ballots. And that's exactly what happened.
And wanted schools to reopen a lot sooner than they did after COVID shutdowns, or think maybe your kid is getting a bad education, partly because it's nearly impossible to fire a lousy teacher. Yeah, you're going to say, "Congratulations, teachers, you got yourself a good lawyer." The Democratic Party's always got your back, 100%. But I've noticed my kid is kind of an idiot. So I may be looking for new representation.
AOC and her squad marched through deep blue states like they were political royalty untouchable. Cheered on, acting like they had a blank check to push every extreme idea under the sun. From open borders to identity politics overload, they believed they could do no wrong. But here's where it all fell apart. They underestimated the quiet crowd. They mistook applause for blind loyalty, silence for approval. But people were watching, and that quiet, it turned into something loud, a full-blown electoral rebellion. Voters who once rallied behind her started pulling away, fast, like a light switch flipping. Her base didn't just wobble, it fractured. And into that void walked the Republicans. Yep, the same group AOC spent years branding as dangerous and out of touch. Now they're scooping up her disillusioned followers like unclaimed baggage. This wasn't just a political mood swing. It was an earthquake. And now we're left with the real question. Is AOC just going through a rough patch? Or is this the collapse of everything she built her brand on? Because when your foundation is all style and no substance, even a minor tremor can bring down the whole thing. And let's be clear, Bill Maher's not just tossing around legal lines for fun. He's not acting like a lawyer, he's narrating a full-blown political drama. And he's got front row seats and the loudest mic in the house.
Biden wants to cancel hundreds of billions of dollars in student debt. Okay, but the poorer 2/3 of American kids who don't get a college degree are going to say, why should the people who didn't go to college and make less money subsidize the people who did go and make more? You want me to chip in so some liberal arts college can build a bigger rock wall? You're not my lawyer. A universal basic income probably sounds pretty good to a lot of people struggling without a college degree. And a number of cities have been running pilot programs in guaranteed income. But the West Hollywood program had to be suspended because it was unconstitutional. They set up a program where 25 residents were to get $1,000 for 18 months, but only a few identified as LGBT, the rest of that. Why? Because they need money more than any other people? Because no one in West Hollywood will hire a gay person?
Here's the real kicker. Maher's not threatening lawsuits, he's making a case. And it's brutal. Voters want someone real, someone who'll show up, speak plain, and fight for them. Not a political influencer, not a media darling, but a champion. And that's where AOC and her progressive clique dropped the ball. Instead of fighting for the folks who put them in office, they've been too busy moralizing, scolding, and drafting legislation that reads like it came out of a Dorm room think tank. Voters are left staring at their screens asking, wait, whose team are you on? Maher's not just clowning around, he's prosecuting. Every sarcastic line, every jab. It's all part of a bigger indictment. These so-called revolutionaries now look like part of the establishment. AOC still talks like a grassroots underdog. But to the public watching closely, she's starting to look like the one in power and in denial. This isn't a rally anymore. It's a reckoning.
2020, Bernie Sanders said he would legalize marijuana on his first day as president, but that the business of selling pot would be awarded first to those who suffered most from the drug war. And you know what? I can't argue with that instinct. The drug war has been a horrendous instrument of prejudice and punishment for racial minorities, so it seems fair that they jumped the line for weed franchises the way Indians did for casinos. But it's also what's holding up Republican support for legalizing weed nationally, which would be good for everybody. And these are the hard, practical choices the Democrats have to weigh. Redress the past, or reach out to the gettable white voter who says, you know what, I'd like a shot at getting in the pot business. But to do that, our entire audience. But to do that, I'm going to need a good lawyer who fights for me.
When Maher drops his final punchline, it's not just laughs, he's getting his decisions. And the verdict's coming fast. AOC and her crew didn't just alienate Latino voters. They poked a much bigger bear: education. And what's followed? An all-out classroom catastrophe. Forget the slogans, this mess hit straight at the kids. A few years back, under Biden and cheered on by the squad, came policies that sounded noble: protect teachers. But in practice, they shackled principals. Suddenly, schools couldn't act, even as students slipped further behind. The result? A disaster. The nation's report card shows 13-year-old math scores fell 9 points between 2020 and 2023, the biggest drop in 50 years. Reading scores tanked too. This isn't a blip. It's a freefall. Meanwhile, the same underperforming teachers stayed, locked in with full pay and benefits as if they were guarding national secrets. Parents are staring at Fs on report cards while AOC hypes up crowds with poetic speeches. And Bernie replays the same tired eat the rich routine. But here's the question. Can this duo actually help the Democrats recover, or are they driving the whole party off a cliff? Maher's about to hand out grades, and the progressive wing is looking like it's about to flunk hard. Some of these Democrat-backed ideas didn't just stumble, they crashed face first into reality. We're talking full-on policy fails that would be funny if they weren't wrecking lives. Take defund the police. It was their rallying cry until crime exploded, and even the loudest supporters went radio silent. Or rent cancellation sounded great on TikTok, but in the real world, landlords still had mortgages, and cities still needed revenue. The fallout: common sense got evicted. Then there's the head-scratcher of killing standardized testing. Apparently asking students to prove they learned something is now oppressive. You can't make this stuff up. Maher nailed it. It's like Democrats sat around brainstorming 10 ways to lose the middle in record time, and nailed everyone. Now they want another shot at the White House. After the circus? It's not a campaign, it's a blooper reel. And Maher, he's not letting it slide. Not today. Not ever. Because the clown car's out of gas. And the audience isn't laughing with them anymore, they're laughing at them.
Issues. The wavering voter is saying to her lawyer, the Democratic Party, hey, so happy for you that you have so many other clients and that you care so much about their problems and all the pro bono work you do. But you're supposed to be my lawyer. The Democrats need to be like the lawyers you see on billboards. You hurt, we fight.
Maher didn't just deliver jokes, he dropped truth with the precision of a scalpel. And if Democrats want any shot at crawling back into power, they better stop posturing and start listening. The slogans, worn out. The virtue signals, dull. That moral high horse, limping. It's not about rebranding. It's about reckoning. Own the failures. All of them. Stop tweeting from insulated echo chambers and start having actual, face-to-face conversations. No handlers, no spin, no buzzwords. Just real talk. Sit down with factory workers, single parents, folks trying to survive, not trying to decode progressive lingo. Don't assume what they need from a DC office, ask them. Listen. Respect. Because that arrogant guesswork, that's exactly how you lost them. Maher's not saying sell out. He's saying grow up, rebuild trust, reconnect with reality. Right now, Democrats are shouting into a void while voters quietly tune in somewhere else. Time is running out. Maher's rant. Wasn't comedy, it was a warning. A final one. He held up the mirror and the reflection. It's not just unflattering, it's unrecognizable. A party that promised to fight for the people is now alienating the very people it needs most. Redemption won't come through hashtags or Hollywood speeches. It starts with humility. If they don't make that shift, voters won't just walk away. They'll slam the door and deadbolt it behind them. And when that happens, no amount of endorsements or ad money will bring them back. Maher didn't just torch them, he gave them the playbook to recover. But the clock's ticking. If they don't move fast, the next punchline won't come from Maher, it'll come from the ballot box. So if you're done with the noise and ready for more no BS truth, hit like, subscribe, turn on the notifications. Because this political roller coaster, it's only just hitting the first drop.